The neon sign of the Rusty Spur gas station sputtered erratically, casting the deserted highway in a sickly orange glow. Rain lashed against the windshield, blurring the skeletal trees that clawed at the asphalt like desperate fingers. Sarah's wipers groaned in protest, barely keeping pace with the downpour, her gauge read empty, the needle a stark reminder of her detour through this desolate stretch of Wyoming. She'd scoffed at the warnings about avoiding back roads after dark, but now, with the storm raging and her phone dead, the Rusty Spur was her only hope. Pulling up to the rusted pumps, Sarah shivered. The station looked abandoned, a decaying monument to a bygone era. Cobwebs draped the peeling window panes. And the pumps, shrouded in plastic, bore skeletal hoses like prehistoric serpents. Still, the flickering sign promised salvation. Hesitantly, Sarah pushed open the creaking door. A bell, rusty and mournful, chimed above her. The air inside was thick with the smell of stale gasoline and decay. A single bare bulb cast long, distorted shadows that danced on the grimy walls, plastered with faded advertisements for cigarettes and long-extinct brands of soda. Behind the counter, a figure materialized from the gloom. A tall man, skeletal thin, with eyes like chips of obsidian that gleamed in the dim light. His smile, stretched wide and humorless, revealed a mouthful of blackened teeth. "Welcome to the Rusty Spur," he rasped, his voice like sandpaper on bone. "What can I do for you, miss?" Sarah, her throat dry, managed to stammer out, "Just a fill-up, please." The man chuckled, a sound like dry leaves rustling in the wind. "We're closed, miss. Pumps ain't workin'." Panic clawed at Sarah's throat. "But I have no gas. I can't." The man's smile widened. "Tell you what, miss. You look like a resourceful one. How about a little trade? You give me something, I give you a gallon." Sarah's eyes darted around the grimy store, searching for something, anything, to offer. Her gaze landed on a dusty, ornately framed photograph behind the counter. A young woman, her face etched with joy, stood beside a smiling man in a faded military uniform. "That," Sarah said, her voice barely a whisper. "I'll take it." The man's smile faltered for a fraction of a second, then returned, colder than before. He reached for the photo, his fingers long and spidery. As he touched the frame, a low moan echoed from the back of the store, a sound that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The man paused, his head tilted towards the sound. Then, with a wink that sent another wave of terror through Sarah, he slipped the photo into her hand and poured a single gallon of gasoline into a waiting jerrycan. Sarah fled into the storm, the photo clutched tight in her hand. The Rusty Spur loomed behind her, the neon sign flickering ominously. She didn't dare look back, not until she was miles away, the engine of her car purring like a prayer, but as she drove, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her, something cold and hungry, lurking in the shadows of the abandoned gas station. And in the dead of night, when the wind howled and the rain lashed against her window, she swore she could hear a faint, mournful whisper carried on the breeze, "Thank you, miss. You made me whole again." Sarah never stopped for gas at a deserted station after that. And she always kept a framed photo of a smiling couple in her glove compartment, a grim reminder of the night she made a deal with something lurking in the darkness.